Hey, this is Steph here, and today, if you are a multi-passionate, if you have lots of varied interests and you feel like everybody in society is telling you that you have to niche down and pick just one, then this video is for you. I am also a multi-passionate. I have lots of varied interests, and I think that's why my current role as an executive producer in the entertainment industry appeals to me. No 2 days are the same. I have tons of variety and tons of exploration and activities that I get to do, and there's a lot from that I actually want to apply to you. I think it'll be helpful. Sean Acor, he defines happiness as the joy we feel moving toward our potential. The joy we feel moving toward our potential. And I think for a lot of us, when we think of our potential, we think of all those aspects of ourselves, all those passions and interests we've had since we were kids. And I think to say, well, no, just cut off those and just move towards this one or two just doesn't feel fulfilling. We want to feel like at the end of our life, we reached out to our fullest potential and we explored all of our possibilities. I want to offer a couple things. One is you don't have to turn away any of your passions. One thing I've taken from working in the entertainment industry is there is always multiple projects going on at the same time. There's always multiple projects. If it's a TV show, there's multiple storylines that are being considered. If it's a talk show, there's multiple guests that are being considered. There's just always multiple options. You rarely just pick one thing and that's it. You usually have multiple options on the table, and even when you decide to move forward with one, the others you don't say no to or totally scrap them. A lot of times you keep them open. You just move them to the back burner. And when we talk about prioritizing, I think it's really important to look at the season you're in. If you are in a season where you need to make money fast, then a lot of times when you look at your passions, you'll want to look at what do you think would be the easiest to get off the ground to make that money quickly, what has the highest likelihood of bringing in income in the shortest amount of time. But then there might be another season when you're really stressed with work or other life circumstances, and then the priority might be which of your passions and interests is therapeutic. Which ones bring you relief or stress relief? That's why I think it's very important to look at your current season of life and then look at your passions and interests and honestly ask which of those deserves your most time and attention right now. Another thing I would offer is that, David Epstein, a lot of people refer to his book Range because he talks about being a generalist versus being a specialist. The more areas you can pull towards and be creative about making connections that people who are specialists might not be able to make. Can you narrow down to 3 to 5 of your passions or interests that you would like to spend more time in? And if so, this is a great place to be, because that takes you to this next step. My next step and tip for you would be to not marry any interests before you date them. And what I mean by this is experiment. Do short experiments, short sprints, things that you can just test out your ideas, test out your interests, because maybe you think that, you love writing, but if you start doing it for, 10 to 15 days in a row, you might realize, I don't really like writing that much. Maybe it was something that was a vague interest, but now that you started doing it, you're like, it's just something I might do from time to time. By doing these sprints and experiments that are short, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, you can really figure out much more quickly where your long-term interests lie. And then from there, you can decide where you want to spend more time and energy. This is something we do in our membership group. We do short sprints and experiments every 30 days, and then we come together and we share what we've learned, and it's actually been a very valuable experience in order to grow and seek out our full potential as quickly as possible. And the last tip I want to offer you today, but probably the most important, is that although a lot of us have a lot of passions and interests, if you decide that you are multi-passionate and you're going to move on multiple interests, that in itself is a commitment. But even with multiple interests, I really want you to be clear on if there is one that maybe even has just a slight edge. So here's a question I want you to sit with. At the end of your life, if you looked back and you didn't move on any of these passions or interests, you didn't touch any of them ever again, is there one that would just be the most heartbreaking for you? I know you want to touch all of them, but if there was just one that you're just like, oh, that one hurts the most, that's the one I would suggest prioritizing as soon as possible. And again, this is not saying this only or drop the rest. It's not at all. But it's just saying make sure you touch that one. Because if that's the one that's most important to your heart, to your soul, to your growth, then you want to make sure that no matter how many interests you take on, you touch that one as often as possible and move it forward. And speaking of passions and interests, this is one of my interests, is posting videos on YouTube while spending time with my pups here. And this is part of my challenge to myself, to post 125 videos on YouTube in 125 days. So today is day 17, I believe. And so I'll be back tomorrow with another video. So please subscribe, follow along, and let me know in the comments below if there is anything that would be helpful to you, or where you've gone tripped up before as a multi-passionate. All right, talk to you soon, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye.